Hello guys, welcome to my channel. And today I will clarify a short science fiction show film called High Maintenance, released in 2020. This movie got 4.9 out of 10 rating on Internet Movie Database. And 45% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So, do not wasting you time. Let's begin. Toward the start of the film, we are acquainted with a man and wife, to be specific, Paul and Jane. The two are eating on a fine evening in their home. The table is inadequately lit with candle light, and the couple are eating peacefully. The main commotion that can be heard is the tinkling of cutlery as they cut their food. Jane clumsily checks out Paul and attempts to say something, yet rules against it. All through the supper, she looks at him, a few times attempting to begin any sort of discussion to end the clumsiness. Paul, then again, scarcely recognizes her. His whole spotlight is on his food, that he is by all accounts appreciating extraordinarily. Having had enough of behaving like outsiders, Jane wipes her hand and gets up. She gets the jug of wine on the table and approaches her wife. Jane desires to work up a discussion again, however, as she attempts to pour him the liquor, he covers his glass with his palm. Jane is shocked, yet she doesn't respond. Paul talks interestingly and claims that he would rather not drink. To sound somewhat less cruel, he calls her dear, however it doesn't cause Jane to feel any better. She just sits down in her seat and looks apparently hurt by her significant other's need of concern. She talks interestingly and uncovers that it is their wedding commemoration, asking him to give up and drink on the event. Hearing this, Paul brings eating and looks her to an abrupt halt, obviously irritated by all the talking, when he could be partaking in his supper peacefully. He just says that he can't drink since he needs to work the following day. At the point when the spouse doesn't try to clarify further, Jane murmurs of inconvenience. To compensate for him not drinking, she chugs down a whole glass of wine, while not breaking eye-to-eye connection with him. She puts the glass down with a moan, glad for herself for revolting. All things considered, Paul doesn't express a word to remark on the reality, so she tops off the glass once more. Before she can chug down its remainder, Paul expresses that the asparagus that she made for supper is extremely delicate. In a last endeavor to work up a fiery discussion, Jane claims that individuals say asparagus is an love potion, a food that increments sexual longing and joy. The spouse is expecting an intriguing answer from him, however is left frustrated when he asks her where she heard that from. She stammers and claims that she heard it from certain individuals. Jane seems to have gotten apprehensive after the inquiry. She rapidly places food in her mouth to hold back from talking, however, it doesn't go unrecognized by the spouse. Paul doesn't scrutinize her further, and they settle back to their old everyday practice. A couple of moments later, he calls her dear, and gets some information about her day. This is the last bit of trouble that will be tolerated for Jane. At the point when the outrage bamboozles her, she gets up and tosses her just-filled glass of wine to Paul's face. Having enough of his casual and edgy conduct, she requests that he shut up and have a beverage for once. She additionally remarks that he is just a simple PC expert and not a specialist, so nothing is going to change, assuming he drinks a glass of wine for an exceptional event. All through her shouting, Paul keeps quiet and created. The way that his face is canvassed in wine does not appear to trouble him so much. Jane again requests that he unwind for once in his life. The spouse disregards her completely and draws out his instance of cigarettes to have a smoke. An all-around enraged Jane sparkles red out of frustration, subsequent to seeing him put a cigarette to his mouth. She murmurs to him to not dare smoke, however, it doesn't stop the spouse. He illuminates the cigarette and enjoys a major drag, causing Jane to get up and grab the cigarette away from his lips. She presses the cigarette on an ashtray, yet pivots to see that Paul has lit another one. The spouse hangs tight for one more glass of wine to his face, however, it will not ever come. To his most extreme astonishment, Jane pulls it together and plunks down in her seat. She wryly urges him to continue onward, expressing that aloof smoke is by and large what she needed as her commemoration gift. Paul does not reply, so she continues to converse with Phil the quietness. Jane claims that she just gets the honor of unnatural discussions with her wife on a typical day. She unexpectedly adds that, assuming she is incredibly fortunate, she may get a short mechanical sexual intercourse from him. The affront offends Paul, and he at long last shows a sprinkle of feeling all over. He gazes at her with mournful eyes, which brings Jane back from her infuriated state. She remorsefully apologizes for saying that. Minutes after the fact, she approaches him and sits on his lap, attempting to support him like a youngster. She guarantees that she did not mean what she said. However, Paul is not innocent to trust her words. Jane embraces him and gradually slides her gives over the rear of his head. One may think she is attempting to entice him, yet she switches off a switch on his neck. Paul goes limp after that. It is then uncovered that he is really a robot that Jane has brought from a mechanical technology organization that gives AI sweetheart administrations. She sits back in her place, this time with her feet on the eating table, and wishes her previous spouse a glad commemoration. Some time later, she is on her PC, perusing for another spouse on the automated organization site. In the wake of searching for quite a while, she observes the one she loves, a man who is athletic and way more fascinating than the current one. She calls the organization and whines that she is unsatisfied with the model of man she possesses. The administrator apologizes for the burden and asks her what issues she is confronting. Jane claims that Paul needs desire and has no clue of experience. He is simply excessively of a robot to be a decent spouse. The administrator guarantees that absence of aspiration is a typical breakdown with the series of robots that Paul has a place with. She asks Jane the highlights she would like her refreshed spouse to be fused with. Jane says that she needs a more athletic man, who either shakes climbing or is a masseuse. She takes a gander at a reference photograph and requests a man with less facial hair growth and more limited light hair. In the wake of giving all the data on what she needs him to resemble, Jane sits tight for the conveyance that will happen that very evening. Just a few hours after the fact, somebody knows on her entryway. She looks through the looking opening to ensure it is individuals she was hanging tight for. She opens it to observe a lady from the Advanced Mechanics organization remaining outside. Seconds after the fact, she is joined by one more lady with the container of her favored spouse. The laborers remove the new man from the plastic pack and spot him on his seat at the feasting table. Jane is left dumbfounded in the wake of seeing his attractive face, despite the fact that he seems to be indistinguishable from the past Paul, just somewhat blonder. They put the bygone one in a cot and take him out. Be that as it may, Jane really wants to stop them to wish her previous spouse farewell for the last time. She races to him and delicately kisses him on the lips, remorseful that she needs to release him, yet glad that she has a redesigned spouse now. Following that, she takes out the wedding band from his finger and allows the specialist to take him away. She then, at that point, brings the ring inside and makes her new spouse wear it. The redesigned form of Paul is now fitted with his old recollections, so Jane will not have to try to present herself and take their relationship from the beginning. She essentially turns his switch on and keeps eating as she did with the previous Paul. The overhauled Paul awakens and eats his first nibble of food. Jane sits tight for him to say something, yet he does not. In any case, she does not have all the earmarks of being baffled. She offers him a glass of wine, yet, like the past Paul, this one likewise decreases, and claims that he has a major ascension the following day. Demonstrating that he is so like the not redesigned rendition, he likewise remarks that the asparagus is exceptionally delicate. In any case, something shifts in the discussion following that. Jane begins to act compliant, like the not redesigned Paul did. She attests that the vegetable is indeed great, and does not to brighten up the discussion. The redesigned Paul guarantees that asparagus is Spanish fly. He anticipates that she should answer to his remark with something fascinating, yet, very much like the past Paul, she asks him where he heard that from. She calls him dear, and doesn't talk a lot. It is as though Paul is worn out on her being casual to their wedding commemoration. Paul gets up from his seat, and strolls towards her. Jane is anxious, and befuddled regarding what he is going to do. He overwhelms her, and starts to alluringly knead her shoulders. As she dissolves in his contact, he gets some information about her day. The last time he posed her a similar inquiry wound up in him being showered with wine. In any case, something has changed this time in light of the fact that Jane is more apprehensive than furious. She answers to his inquiry, saying that she went to the town to get some stuff for supper this evening. Jane can scarcely zero in on the thing she is attempting to say as Paul contacts her imperatively. The pressure she had from managing the more seasoned one evaporates as she unwinds in his contact. He encourages her to proceed, so she clarifies how she went out for lunch with her companion, Anna. As she talks, she cannot quit grinning at the possibility of having such a brilliant spouse, who gives her back rubs, and is obliging to the point of getting some information about her day. She proceeds to talk, and gladly says that she treated herself for the commemoration. One second, she is discussing her day, and the other, her appearance changes, and she stops unexpectedly. A tick sound is heard from the back. Paul doesn't respond to his better half going limp. Conversely, he basically leaves. At the point, when the camera container to the rear of Jane's head, we see that she likewise has a switch on the rear of her neck that Paul has quite recently switched off. Really, at that time, it is uncovered that she is likewise a robot. The refreshed variant of Paul was excessively best in class for her, so he thought that she is exhausting, like what she thought about the previous Paul. This is the explanation that every one of them three regularly rehashed each other's words and didn't acknowledge it. They were fabricated by a similar organization, which implies that their essential conduct is the equivalent. Paul basically sits on the sofa with a lit cigarette and a container of brew. He puts his feet on top of the end table and turns the TV on. In the last scene, he gazes into the TV, watching a football match. And, at that scene, movie ends. So, guys, would you like this video, or not? Comment in comment section. And, if you want more to watch videos like this, then subscribe our channel. Thank you.